Dwyer.
Here.
Councilman Cole.
Here.
Councilman D'Angelo.
Here.
Councilman Mattingly.
Present.
Councilman Shuback is absent. Attorney Buckeye.
Here.
Police Chief Rader.
Here. Okay, thank you. May I have a motion to accept the minutes from the December 28th board meeting?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. May I have a motion to accept the reorganization meeting minutes from January 2nd, 24?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. In our packet, we have correspondence, essentially items that have been received into the clerk's office, as well as other correspondence that may be relevant to the board and to the public. It is all available here, as well as if anyone wanted to find out more information about any of these items, they could certainly FOIL it, and it will be available to them. Is there any board discussion on the correspondence? No? Okay. Visiting elected officials, it doesn't look like we have any here today. Reports of boards and commissions. We'll begin with Councilman Cole.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Just a few things that are going on up at Mountain Lake Park. Something really this Saturday, January 20th, from 11 to 2 at the Mountain Lake Park is Nature and Wildlife Family Fun Day. The Hudson Highland Nature Center, they're over by the river in near Newburgh, is having animal presentations from 11:30 to 12:30 and from 1 to 1:30, and there'll be hands-on nature crafts and activities. And also on Friday, February 9th, from 7 to 9 p.m., they're going to have a stargazing event up there. NASA ambassadors will be sharing their telescopes and pointing out constellations, planets, and other cosmic objects. It's all going to be outside, so dress accordingly. And it's a win-win, because if it's cloudy, you get s'mores anyway. So we're doing great.
I know where you'll be that night.
Either way, it's going to be a fun night. And the town would also like to congratulate the local chef, Siren McColdrick, who recently won the Food Network's Chopped event. The chef cooks up at the Mountain Lake Park at the Commercial Kitchen, and he does a great job up there, and we're glad that he has achieved this recognition from the show. Congratulations. That's all I have, Mr. Supervisor.
Very good, thank you. Councilman D'Angelo, your report, please.
Yes, okay. For the month of December, the Town of Warwick Police Department had the following calls. The town outside of Greenwood Lake was 126, town proper is 502, Pine Island was 222, Village of Warwick 432, and the Greenwood Lake Ambulance 56, for a total for December was 1,338. And I also have some annual numbers here, which I'd like to put out. For the town outside of Greenwood Lake was for the year 2023 was 1,455. For the town proper was 5,859. For the Pine Island was 2,494. For the Village of Warwick was 5,179, and the Greenwood Lake Ambulance was 625, for a total for 2023 was 15,612. Chief, do you have anything else? No. Thank you. Hang on a second, lost my paper. Warwick Valley Humane Society, the shelter is in desperate need of paper towels with Tay-style canned cat food, Merrick or Natural Balance dog food, dog wee-wee pads, three large guinea pig cages. Donations can be dropped off at the shelter without an appointment and are greatly appreciated. Susan asked me to remind all residents that New York state law mandates that all dogs in the town of Warwick must be licensed through the town clerk's office with proof of neuter and current rabies vaccination for a yearly fee of $10 for dogs that are spayed or neutered and $20 for unaltered dogs. And cats and ferrets must be vaccinated against rabies in New York State. She asked me to watch your pets for winter, for hypothermia, for frostbite due to colder temperatures. When the temperature drops below 32 degrees, bring your pets in from the cold. Currently, the shelter has a dozen kittens along with 50-plus adult cats, a dozen dogs from 6 months old to 7 years old available for adoption. Applications are available to download at wvhumane.org or call the shelter at 845-986-2473. That's all I have for the Humane Society. The Friendly Visitor Program for December, the number of neighbors that were assisted was 21. The number of volunteers helping them were 19, and the total number of services was 180. They gave me some numbers for the year, which I find remarkable. They helped 307 neighbors. There were 278 volunteers assisting those neighbors, and the number of services provided was 3,155. That's an amazing number.
That's great.
Okay. If you're in need of, like somebody to help you with your shopping, or maybe just minor chores, you could contact the Friendly Visitor Program at 986. I'm sorry, it's 845-986.
I'm surprised there's no magnets around here somewhere. I see them everywhere I go.
I know.
Yeah,
I
friendly
know.
visitor.
1124.
1124, I'm sorry.
1124, extension 400, right?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you. That's all I have, thank you.
Okay.
Sorry about
Thank
that.
you, Councilman. No problem. All right, so it is Councilman Mattingly's in my first meeting tonight, so give us a little slack. Councilman Mattingly, your report, please.
Absolutely. I, along with some of my fellow councilmen, had the pleasure and honor of participating and attending the Martin Luther King service at the Union AME Church in Warwick this week. It was a beautiful service, and I want to thank Reverend Posey for having that beautiful service on Monday. I also had my first opportunity today to review the payment vouchers that the town pays its vendors, and Councilman Cowell and I spoke about some opportunities, particularly in the purchase of some of our fuels to possibly save some money, which we'll be working on that during the next month. That is all I have.
Thank you. Councilman Schuback is absent tonight, but fortunately, the DPW report is available in your agenda. It lists a lot of the work that the DPW has done this month so far. Obviously, they've been very busy between snowstorms and incredible flooding that we've seen. I hope it has nothing to do with the new town supervisor, that these events are occurring on a weekly basis, but we'll see how the rest of the month shapes up. I want to recognize our Chief of Police, John Rader, is here tonight. Thank you for coming. And also our Recreation Director and Mountain Lakes Park Magician, Sam Walters, is here. I want to thank you guys for coming. Sam, did you want to report anything on what's going on?
No, Russ covered it.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you both for coming. We also have our Water and Sewer Department's report here from Environmental Consultants that's here for your review. And now we'll move on to our attorney, Attorney Buckett. Your report, please.
Well, Supervisor, first I'd like to thank you and the town council for your trust in this selection. I'm pleased to be selected to serve and looking forward to serving the town. My report has been exchanged to the members of the council as well as yourself. It's largely confidential in nature. However, I'm prepared to answer any questions.
Do we have any questions from the board for the attorney?
No.
Thank you. Clerk, may I have your report, please?
Okay, the fees collected for December 2023 were $16,101.72, and the fees paid out were $1,581.07. I did the annual report for the entire year. I'll just read 2023, but you'll see the 3 columns where it shows you how much of a difference we made in just 1 year. So the total fees collected was $3,118,297.87. And if you look at the prior year, it was $153,093.82. I think a lot of that has to do with Sam and with the Woodlands. If you go through, you'll see where we're getting a lot of revenue from that, so, thanks, Sam. And then also, underneath that, the building department submitted their year-end report. I tried to keep it in a nice flow chart so you can see it.
Magnifying glass is needed,
Yeah.
somewhat.
Okay, but if you need it, I'll blow it out.
It's all right, it looks great.
Okay, number 5, we had a bid proposal for professional cleaning services for the town, the police station, and the senior center. The first was from Classic Cleaning for $575 per week, but unfortunately they rescinded their bid. And the second was from Crystal Cleaning for $890 per week. The second bid proposal is for the town of Warwick Emergency Services for the year of 2024. The first is from Tomzak Excavating LLC for $3,800. The second is Ground Control Excavating for $3,759.52. The third is from TAM for $4,428, and the fourth is Allied Excavating for $4,184. The last bid is a rebid for equipment, supplies, and installation of the control panels, SCADA, and a cellular dialer to operate an alarm for Warwick Water System Well Number 11. The first is from Ray Nebaker Electric LLC for $19,229.10, and the second is from TAM Enterprises Inc. for $21,015.28.
Very good. I assume those are resolutions later on?
If you want them to be.
We have to accept those bids, don't we?
Yeah, it'll be in resolution.
Okay, right. Okay, here's where we get to the supervisor's report. I guess this is my real first introduction as the town supervisor. We did have a reorganization meeting earlier in the month, but it wasn't as well attended as this one tonight. So I want to thank everybody for coming here tonight to join me and Councilman Mattingly on our first official town board meeting, whether you have an issue, a concern, or just curious to see the new faces on the board. It's truly an honor to serve as our Town of Warwick supervisor. It's been an incredible 2.5 weeks, almost 3 weeks in this position, and I see why Michael Sweeten stayed here for 21 years. It really is the most incredible job with the most incredible staff and people working in and around Town Hall, working in town government, from our department heads down to the people who clean the building and elsewhere. It really is a unique group of individuals that really care about the town, care about the people they serve and they work for, which are the members of the public like yourself. And I also have to assume that Mike Sweeten had a bed somewhere, or maybe a cot, because working 12-hour days every day, I still feel like it's not enough. So Mike had to have been sleeping here. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun, and it's really you're inspired by the people you work with, and everybody's doing such a great job. I provided a list of items that I wanted to kind of update the board, and I'll share with the public as well some of the things that I've been working on in the first 2 weeks. It's been like drinking water out of a fire hydrant, because you know, I'm taking over a lot of the projects and the work that Mike Sweeten was working on, some of the great grant projects that he had achieved for the town, and really just working on making sure that we have good continuity of government while also dealing with the many, many issues that are constantly arising on a daily basis, while figuring out how the filing system works in that office. It's been a challenge, but it really has been a very wonderful one and a unique one. We'll start with staffing. I updated the town board on some of the staffing requirements that we have. At our reorganization meeting, I had asked the board for permission to post a couple of job applications requesting positions in our building department, including a part-time building inspector as well as a part-time clerk in our building department. The supervisor's office, the assessor's office are both seeking candidates, but those are civil service positions. They come from a civil service list. It's competitive class positions. But by the next meeting, I hope to have recommendations for the town board to fill those positions. I am the planning board liaison and the zoning board liaison. I attended the planning board meeting last night, and we had some interesting applications. I'll save the best for last, but the solar field on Chancellor Lane is an application before the town board, and it was declared an action by the planning board, so it will require further environmental quality review for that particular project. But I will say this, that the planning board did go on site as well as to the mountains surrounding the project, and it will not be visible from the road. It won't be visible for anything nearby, so it is a good project that will support the development that took place, including GTI and some of the other assets within the corporate park, which is the old prison property. So this infrastructure is very much needed to provide the energy and the grid within the town so that we're not affected for our energy needs. There's a subdivision over on Newport Bridge Road that was reviewed by the planning board, and some neighbors had some comments, and they were quite valid, and the planning board took those comments to heart and essentially requested that the applicant go back to the drawing board to make sure that they can address some of these concerns. So it was very nice to see that. Black Bear Campground is a campground just outside of the Village of Florida that's looking to expand some of the use and operation at the campground. Will not turn into a year-round campground, which was some of the concerns in the past about this property. But the applicant is a new owner, and he seems to really want to make some good positive changes, both at the park as well as being the neighbor for the Village of Florida. And the last one is the Old Forge property, Old Forge Road over in the Sterling Forest area of Warwick. It's funny, I think before this, most people probably didn't realize that the town of Warwick stretched all the way to Sterling Forest and Sterling Lake and the visitor center that's over there. But for someone like me, I grew up fishing on Sterling Lake and hiking in that area, and I won't tell the public what secret fish is in that lake, but it's got the most incredible lake trout, which is not found in most places in this area. And it really is the most beautiful, one of the most beautiful parts of our town is that Sterling Lake region and the Old Forge Road and the old, just beautiful, pristine neighborhood in that area. There was an environmental sciences building, which was owned by NYU, which was not on the tax rolls, was purchased. And there's a planning board application before the planning board right now to turn that into a college campus. The planning board did last night determine that it is a type 1 seeker action, which requires pretty stringent environmental measures be taken by the applicant to move forward. The attorney for the applicant was quite upset that the planning board had made that determination, but it is in the best interests of protecting our town and protecting that critical area over there. So we're fortunate to see that the planning board is doing a great job in really vetting these projects and doing everything that they can to protect our town, whether you're out in Sterling Forest or Pine Island or Florida, it doesn't matter. They're going to take every opportunity possible to enforce our code and really make sure that our town is protected. So again, I just wanted to update the board on these applications and make sure that they're aware of some of the things that are happening in the town from the planning board perspective. We had an Eagle Scout project. We had a presentation earlier today from a young gentleman out in Pine Island who wants to replace a bench and a small gazebo-style bench. I'm not even sure what I would call that, but it's in disrepair at the moment, and this gentleman wants to use it as his Eagle Scout project and really make some nice improvements at the park. We have another Eagle Scout project that Sam had helped coordinate with a young gentleman who wants to make some improvements, fire pits, benches, and some other landscape features over at Mountain Lakes Park. So we're excited to see that. That's going to be a really nice improvement at the park as well. Battery storage moratorium. This is an interesting concept. Wanted to make sure the town board was aware of kind of where we are, which they know, but where we need to be. About 2 years ago, there was a battery storage facility that caught on fire at the high school, or on school property. And at that point, it wasn't really, I guess I should say, when the battery facilities were built, there weren't really that much guidance on how these should be developed. And the town board, the town does not have any code related to battery storage. So what the town did was implement a moratorium which prevented any future development of these battery storage facilities. That moratorium does expire in March. So what this town board is going to do is we're going to move forward to have a public hearing to institute a local law to extend the moratorium out until the end of the year as we develop a code that relates specifically to the development of battery storage facilities. Whether you agree or disagree with whether or not they should exist, it doesn't really matter because the state is going to mandate that we allow it to happen. So we have to be proactive with the issue and make sure that we have a tight code that addresses any concerns that we might have as a board and as a community and as a town that will mitigate any possible negative consequences associated with these types of developments. We do have one applicant or one potential applicant that is waiting for the moratorium to be lifted so that they can proceed with their application to build one of these facilities. But I can assure you that this town board will not allow them to move forward, nor any other applicant, until we have a really good lockdown code that specifically addresses these situations. So we'll keep the public informed on what's going on with that, but we're going to begin the process on that code addition immediately. Bike Hike Trail Program is a federally funded grant program that was awarded to us about 20 years ago, but through various hurdles, no fault of the board or anyone, just property issues that needed to be overcome, have finally been overcome last year, and the project's been handed off to me from Mr. Sweeten and the board, and I've been working diligently with the DOT and other engineers to try to get this federally grant-funded Bike Hike Trail Program off the ground and really make sure that it happens. So just wanted to update the board on that. Jane Street Bridge, this is a bridge that's been closed for a number of years over in the Village of Florida, right by Rowe Brothers. It was a bridge that was deemed unsafe and closed down. We've been requested by the Village of Florida Board, and the town board has submitted applications to the New York State Bridge Authority to get Bridge New York to get grant funding to build a bridge. We are submitting another application. Our last application was denied, but every time you submit, you move up on the list. And we're hoping that this time we'll be closer on the list where we might actually get the access to grant funding to build this bridge. Dasney Skate Park, I just wanted to inform the board on a conversation that I had with Dasney, which is the dormitory authority for the state of New York, which is essentially a grant funding pool. I guess you would call it the elected officials, the senators and the assemblymen. It's their way to give communities money. The Village of Greenwood Lake and the Town of Warwick and the Skate Park Committee was awarded a joint grant, but it was going through the Skate Park Committee. Dasney just recommended or almost requested that that funding go through the Town of Warwick, as we are the property owners for that parcel of land on which the skate park will be built. So again, just wanted to let the board know. We're going to go out to bid to accept bids for kayak rentals at Wickham Woodlands Park, which will open up passive boating opportunities for the public to go there and maybe rent a kayak, rent a canoe, rent a paddleboard, and really enjoy that beautiful park and that incredible lake, which is town-owned property, and it's underutilized, and we want to make sure that the public has greater access to this park. So we're going to be accepting bids for anybody that wants to go in the business of kayak rentals. Town phone upgrades, we're going to be looking at upgrading the phones in Town Hall, which are older than me. I'm not telling you how old I am, but I'm just telling you that they're kind of old. Not that old, but they're a little old. And ultimately, we'll be saving money, because right now we use a system that is very costly, maintained in-house, and if we upgrade our phone system, we can go to cloud-based phones, which will save us money because we'll essentially just be paying for the internet, which is what we're paying for now. We won't have to pay per line for all the services that we have in the town, which is like 40 phone numbers. Orange County Land Trust support, we are going to pass a resolution later on tonight to support the Orange County Land Trust's potential purchasing of development rights for a local farm. There is no financial burden to us. We are simply saying that this is part of our CPF plan, and it is a desirable farm that we would like to see preserved, and the Orange County Land Trust will take the lead on the development right purchase of that farm. Provided updates on Pine Island Water. Received a violation for the water quality there, but this is no secret. The town board has been actively pursuing a new well there to try to get ahead of this and really make sure that we're providing the best water possible to the water users in Pine Island. So I just wanted to update them on conversations that I've had with the Department of Health as well as our water operators and engineers. Wickham Sewer, we are continuing to meet with engineers and research grants, essentially long-term grants, to make sure that we're making proper and appropriate upgrades to the Wickham treatment plant. It is in desperate need of repairs, but it's really not something that you can do without going out to finding grant money. And we've been successful with grant money in the past, so we're going to pursue that vigorously. And then Climate Smart, just wanted to talk to the board about what Councilman Cole and this gentleman from the Climate Smart communities are working on. and update everybody on kind of the progress that we're making with that. So we are trying to pursue as best we can climate smart initiatives to get better access toward grant funding for certain things that will make the building more energy efficient, saving money, and working toward that end. So that kind of concludes my report. Now, I can assure you that in my 2.5 weeks, I've done a substantial amount more than that. I think I've had about 150 meetings. I've had maybe 40 or 50 residents come into my office and meet with me about various issues. I have fielded countless phone calls, and I've been in that office generally 12 hours a day. And oddly enough, there is still another employee who gets there before me and leaves after I do. So it really is an incredibly dedicated team, and it's inspiring to work around. So it's been a lot of fun, and that essentially concludes my report. Let's see. At this point in time, we will go right into privilege of the floor on agenda items. Now, let me just check. So there is a privilege of the floor on general topics, and then there's a privilege of the floor on agenda items. I don't know why that is. When I was the mayor of the village of Greenwood Lake, I just made it one. So we're going to say privilege of the floor on any general topic at this point. So if anyone would like to, now you will have another opportunity. I won't eliminate the second opportunity. So if we pass a resolution that you feel offensive, or you will have another opportunity to talk. But right now, you can certainly ask any question that you'd like to. Anything from the public? No? Okay. You all just came to cheer me on. This is great. Yes, please.
I do. This is concerned the trees that are actually falling down on Cascade Road.
Right.
Can I get your, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Your name?
My name is Jason Cleaver.
Can you spell it?
Yes, it's Jason.
Last name?
McCleaver, MCC, LEA,
Thank you.
And I live on 71 Burnsville Road, which is a private road right off the Cascade. And at the Y junction where Brady and Cascade come together, there seems to be a drove of ash trees that the ash beetles have gotten into that the power line company can't address. This lines the entire length of Cascade Road, but it's a much bigger problem than just Cascade Road. All the town roads have these dead trees on, and they're all starting to come down. The power's gone out 3 times since last Friday. Today was another power outage, and that was due to a car hitting the
Right, I saw that.
in the pole. But this problem's been kicked down the road for so long that now it's becoming a major problem. These trees are falling down in the daytime where the traffic is the heaviest. And this is happening during the week. And we got moms that are taking their kids to school. We've got school buses that are coming up and down the roads. And when a tree falls across the road, the first responders that live on this road can't come down to this beautiful firehouse that was just built on South Street. They have to go all the way around 17A and come back down here. Emergency services, I mean, minutes can be the difference between life and death. Now, I've also talked to the DPW of the town, and they need more men. They need help. They need workers to work for them. And they don't have the equipment to actually do what needs to be done. We have to come up with some type of way to give them the help that they need so they can actually take care of the roads that we all drive on. There's no doubt about it, because what's happening on Cascade is happening up by Mount Peter, it's happening out there on other parts of the town. And it's something in the wintertime that we can actually start to address, because the snow's not so big, not so deep. The trees that need to come down are the ones that are just dead, driving down the roads. You all see them every time you go to work, and you're just driving around, you can see them, they're ready to come down. But a project has to be put together, and it has to be phases where we address what needs to come down first, tag those trees that have to come down at a later date, and then address it at a later date. But if the DPW, which is the grunt of the town, they're underappreciated for all the work that they do. They need the help. They need the money to buy the equipment. They need to train those people to operate the equipment. And they have to have people to actually work with the equipment. The salary for these workers are $22, $23 an hour to start. Nobody can make a living and live in this town for that type of money. I think we should consider doing something to offset that. Either whether it be an incentive program or set up something to boost that salary up that comes from the town itself. We want to bring workers in. For $22 an hour, who wants to work in the middle of the summertime when it's the hottest? And who wants to be out there in the middle of the wintertime when it's the coldest? They'll go to ShopRite, and they'll work inside ShopRite for almost the same amount. They got air conditioning in the summer, they got heat in the wintertime, and they won't be out there in the room doing all the nasty work. This problem is a little bit bigger than just the trees.
You're bringing a lot to the table here.
Well, there's a lot to be talked about, you're right, because the sides of the roads have not been addressed as well, because they don't have the equipment to trim back all the weeds and the brushes that actually grow into the road. They cover the street signs, they cover the school signs, they cover the stop signs, they cover everything. There's no shoulders no more, because they grow in, so people have a tendency to veer into the opposite lane when traffic is coming towards them. All that brush needs to be cut back. In the village, it's great, because as soon as they see a problem, they jump on it. This is something, and this can has been kicked down the road long enough that now it becomes a big problem. The sides of the roads, the ditches have to be ditched out for proper drainage, which they haven't been. The brush on the sides of the road need to be cut back 3 times a year, and it hasn't. And you can't really blame the DPW because they just don't have the power, the men, or the equipment to do it.
Right.
So we need to make this a top priority. We have to come up with a plan. Unfortunately, now that it affects us because the power's gone out so much and we've been talking about it, this shouldn't be what we want. I don't want to be here tonight talking to you about this. I really don't.
I think it's great. I mean, and listen,
I mean, it's great to get to know you.
no, it's great to bring, because we won't know all of the issues. We won't know all of the concerns. We don't know everything that's going on. So I appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to be here and with a good positive demeanor, with concerns, coming here and sharing those concerns with us. I will say a couple things if I can start addressing some of your points.
And before you start, I just want to say this. I welcome all ideas and suggestions. I'm not here just to put down and, vent. I want to come up with solutions. I want to hear what other people have to say. I want to hear other ideas. I just want to bring it to the board to make sure that, this problem gets addressed.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, and you're preaching to the choir. I did mention to the board that we're short-staffed in just about every single department. I was down at the DPW at 6:30 a.m. during the last snowstorm, and I brought them donuts and told them that I'm going to be here, and we're going to look at staffing issues, we're going to look at the equipment issues, we're going to look at what they have, what they need, and I mean it. As mayor of Greenwood Lake, I worked with the Warwick DPW for 10 years, and I worked very closely with them, and we're going to continue that close working relationship moving forward. And a couple points you addressed. One is the trees. We'll address the trees on Cascade. Now, Orange and Rockland will sue us if we go near their power lines and cut down a tree. They will have incredible problems with us doing that, so we can't do it. So what we do is we contact O&R, which I did. I had a meeting with Orange and Rockland today, and we get them to come in here, hire Nelson, which is what they did in Greenwood Lake, and they probably have done it here. And they go around their wires and they cut down branches, and they cut little trimming lines down the thing. They don't address dead trees. They won't cut all the ash trees that are around it, so it's inadequate. It's not going to solve the problem. So it is a broader issue that we need to look at and figure out a way that we can actually start cutting down some of these trees that are dead that will ultimately fall either on the lines or into the road. But it's not going to be O&R, and unfortunately they're the ones that They're the only ones that can work around power lines. So we have to figure out a creative solution. I've spoken with our DPW commissioner and Orange and Rockland, and we're going to try to put our heads together to figure out, not only on Cascade Road, but other roads as well, that have the same issue that you're facing over there. That's one. And we do need a long-term tree plan. And you're not the first person to bring that up to me. It was brought up to me before I even ran for supervisor. Someone had mentioned to me that we really need a good tree plan. I mean, we borrow a bucket truck from another town to do tree work. You know, we don't even have a bucket truck for the town of Warwick.
How crazy is that?
Quite crazy. So there are a lot of things, but then, you know, we have the budget constraints, right? We have a 2% tax cap, which is never 2%. It's usually 1.2%. While we see insurance rates go up 4%, we see retirement costs go up, we see uncontrolled costs rising between 4 and 6%, so we have to cut somewhere. So if we're cutting everywhere possible, how could we possibly expand? So the constraints that the town has been under are understandable. So we're in a challenge, right? And you said it, we have to find solutions. What is the solution to the problem when we can't raise taxes, we can't pay for these services, the equipment is falling apart, breaking down literally during plow routes? It's a very challenging and delicate balancing act.
There's no doubt about it, but one thing that we can actually start to do is stop putting so much pressure on the DPW to maintain projects that are coming down the pipeline, and give them a chance to catch up to and maintain what we already have.
What I will say, because we're on the same page, I agree with you. We're looking at it. I've been here 18 days. Give me a little bit of time, and we'll address those issues. We're going to come up with a good plan and make sure that happens.
Okay. Well, there's more issues I can bring up, but I think that's.
If you want, I'd be happy to meet with you. You want to come to my office anytime?
I'd love to sit down and talk to you.
Yeah. Here, if you want to take my card and shoot me an email or call, and we'll set up an appointment and have a follow-up and see what we can do.
Yeah, I'd like to.
What was your first name again?
Jason.
Jason. Great. Thanks a lot. Thanks for coming. Likewise.
Now, the other thing I can say is, because now the people are just so pissed off, they're gonna be watching the town like a hawk to make sure it just.
As they
doesn't
should.
die like it has in the past.
As they should.
We don't wanna do this, but now we're forced in a position that we have to.
Yeah.
And we're not doing it because we like doing it.
I understand that people are frustrated, and we're going to try to address the concerns as quickly as possible. There is no quick solution, I can assure you of that, though.
You know, the one thing I might wanna suggest is, like I was saying before, some of the obvious trees on some of these roads. The town can get out there and start taking some of those
Right.
down. The power's gone out in this one particular area 3 times. It's the same area that all these trees are coming down. And there's more there that are just willing to fall again.
All right. Shoot me an email or give me a call. Let's set up a meeting, and we'll go from there.
You have to do.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Yes.
Jesse, I think I could talk about something that's near and dear to your heart.
State your name for the record, please, sir.
Steve Gross, 71 Colonial Avenue, Warwick, New York. And now that we're into January of 2024, I'd like to inform everyone that this is officially the 100th anniversary year of the village of Greenwood Lake. It was incorporated, I forget, March
15, 1924.
March 15th, 1924. Now, that doesn't mean Greenwood Lake is only 100 years old. Obviously, it goes back a lot farther than that. But that is the date it became a village. And so there are going to be many events and celebrations going on in Greenwood Lake. And there's one that's coming up real quick in February. February 24th, I will be giving a talk, which is a PowerPoint presentation along with video and a display of artifacts dealing with the Greenwood Lake rocket mail that occurred on February 23rd, 1936. I got 24 in my head now. 1936, which was a very early experiment in rocket science, and it carried mail. If you were to come to my talk, you'll learn a number of interesting things, including how the original date was February 9th, but the plane was sabotaged and by whom. It was postponed for 2 weeks. And then afterwards, the plans that were developed by the famous rocket scientist Willy Ley were stolen. And the question is, who stole them? And then how were they used afterwards? And I have that in the talk too. So it's one of the early kickoff events to the centennial year. It's going to be at the Elks Lodge in Greenwood Lake on Saturday the 24th. Elks Lodge is on Chestnut Street. You make it right at Johnny's Garage, and it's just down 1 block there. We're going to be starting at 2 o'clock with an event outside. We have a representative from NASA that's going to be working with kids. I think he's got a rocket demonstration, and then we'll be moving inside to the Elks for the talk. And I will have a display of a very extensive display of Greenwood Lake Rocket Mail memorabilia. So there'll be quite a bit there. So, and then, like I said, and Jesse can can probably talk more about this. There's going to be a whole string of events that are occurring all year long, celebrating that 100th anniversary.
One of the coolest events that I think, a lot of you might not know anything about me. I was the mayor of Greenwood Lake for 10 years. I think I mentioned that briefly. I'm also the co-chairman of the Greenwood Lake Centennial Committee, of which Steve and I are both members of. And one of the coolest events, not only because it was my idea, but because it just seems like it's going to be so much fun, is we're doing a reenactment of the debate that occurred when the village was formed. And it'll be in the old, the Green Church at the corner of Waterstone and Windermere Avenue. And it'll basically be the debate of one side that said, we don't want a government. We can take care of our roads. We can take care of our policing. I don't want to pay 50 cents a year for all of these services that you're telling me you're going to provide and then do a bad job at them. And then you had the other side that said, I don't want to shovel my street. I don't want to get rid of my garbage. I want to look at possibly having water delivered from the village municipal government. And we're going to reenact that debate with professional actors and basically have an all-day activity of reenactment. Theater, professional theater, literally like professional union actors are going to be doing it. And then we're going to have a speakeasy event at the Irish Whisper afterwards. So a lot of fun, and I don't have all the dates. I wasn't prepared to do a Greenwood Lake report. I understand that a lot of people thought I might be Mr. Greenwood Lake. I don't want to be Mr. Greenwood Lake on the town board, but I will at some point bring some more information about the centennial and a list of events and dates. And there's a website, I think it's gwlcentennial.org, and it's got a list of all the events that are happening. You can go on Facebook and really see some of the great things that we're doing, including what Steve is putting together and some other free activities that are for both children and adults, and it's really going to be a lot of fun. Parades, car shows, fireworks, a lot of various events throughout the year. So look forward to those and look for them on Greenwood Lake's website. Anyone else from the public wanted to make comments on agenda items or anything really? Okay. Again, you'll have another opportunity. We're going to move into new business and resolutions related to new business. Since this is appointing me, I would like a motion for resolution number 1.
Motion to adopt a resolution to designate Jesse Dwyer, Town of Warwick Supervisor, as the voting delegate to attend the New York State Association of Towns Annual Business Session, February 4th, 2024, and to cast the vote of the Town of Warwick pursuant to Section 6 of Article 3 of the Constitution and bylaws of said association, and James Gershner, Town of Warwick Deputy Supervisor, be designated as the alternate voting delegate to cast the vote of the Town of Warwick in the absence of the voting delegate.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. May I have a motion for the second resolution?
Motion to adopt a resolution to authorize the supervisor to sign an agreement with the town of Tuxedo for the control of snow and ice in Old Forge Road for the sum of $6,000.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. I make a motion to adopt a resolution to accept a bid proposal from Tom Zak Excavating, Ground Control Excavating, TAM Enterprises, and Allied Excavating for emergency services for the town of Warwick in the amount as per their respective bid proposals.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Would you like to make the next motion there, Councilman?
Certainly. Motion to adopt a resolution to accept bid proposal from Crystal Cleaning LLC in an amount not to exceed $890 per week for the cleaning of the Town of Warwick Senior Center, Police Department, and Town Hall buildings.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Make a motion to adopt a resolution to approve Canadian Geese Harassment Program, a volunteer dog walker program to combat the geese population at the Thomas P. Morahan Waterfront Park and Mountain Lake Park, to begin March 1st, 2024 through November 30th, 2024.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Next resolution.
Motion to adopt a resolution to authorize the controller to pay $8,904.04 to Summit Risk Services for reimbursement of the deductible obligation to Selective regarding Summit claim number SP-1802.
Second.
Motion by Russ. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Resolution number 7, Councilman Cole.
Motion to accept the following schedule of fees for the Mountain Lake Park Theater. The hourly rate, a minimum of 3 hours. For nonprofits, $85. For non-resident and corporate is $115, with a refundable deposit of $200. The weekday volume discount of up to 8 hours will be $500 for resident nonprofits, $700 for non-resident corporate, and a refundable deposit of $400. The weekend volume discount of up to 8 hours will be $600. For residents and nonprofits, non-residents and corporates are $800, with a refundable deposit of $400. Studio 6B will have a included fee for the residents and nonprofits, a $25 per hour for the non-residents and corporates, and there is no deposit for that.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. I make a motion to adopt a resolution to promote Michael E. Corkum from a motor equipment operator, MEO, to a heavy equipment operator, HEO, at grade 7, step 19, pay rate $40 per hour, as per the CSEA contract effective January 27, 2024.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Motion to adopt a resolution to accept notice of retirement from Town of Warwick Police Officer Stephen C. Pascal for the purpose of retirement effective February 22nd, 2024.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Make a motion to adopt a resolution accepting the resignation of Neil Ryan as Town of Warwick part-time bailiff effective immediately.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. John, are you awake down there?
Yep.
All right, just making sure. Just making sure we didn't lose you. Can I have a motion from the resolution number 11?
Motion to adopt a resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign a letter of support for Orange County Land Trust application regarding the Morszewski Farm 3 parcels located on 190 Little York Road, Warwick. New York section block and lot is 16-138.231, section block and lot 16-175.2, and section block and lot 16-174.2 for a total of 166 acres.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Motion to adopt a resolution granting approval for Warwick Lacrosse to hold its annual Applefest Shootout at Town of Warwick Union Corners Park from October 12th through October 14th, 2024. Certificate of liability insurance is on file in the clerk's office.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carried.
Motion to adopt the following resolution, whereas the State of New York Department of Transportation has implemented a web-based reporting system called Equitable Business Opportunities to streamline and satisfy Title VI civil rights reporting requirements for the federal aid locally sponsored contracts, and whereas New York State DOT requires that each local municipality as a subrecipient to the New York State Department of Transportation of federal funds and sponsor of federal aid contracts to identify a single primary user in order to access and use the system for the Title VI compliance reporting requirements. Therefore, be it resolved that the Town of Board identifies Jesse Dwyer, Town Supervisor, as the town's responsible local official authorized to access the EBO system and the town's EBO administrator, and be it further resolved that this resolution is effective immediately.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Motion to adopt the resolution to accept the resignation of Friendly Visitor Program and Advisory Board Chairwoman Dana Castine, effective immediately.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Make a motion to adopt a resolution to appoint Kathy Lupinski as chairwoman to the Friendly Visitor Program and to the Advisory Board effective immediately.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Motion to adopt a resolution to waive the senior center rental fees for the Warwick VFW Post 4662 to hold a fundraiser on February 11th, 2024, March 3rd, 2024, April 7th, 2024, and May 5th, 2024.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. I will neither read nor vote on the next two resolutions, as I am a member of the Warwick and Greenwood Lake Ambulance Corps.
Okay, motion to adopt a resolution to authorize the supervisor to sign the 2023 Service Award Program Certificate, LoSAP, for the Warwick Volunteer Ambulance Corps.
Second.
Any discussion? And in fact, the deputy supervisor will be signing these, not me. But that's okay, because you don't need to change anything. Any discussion besides that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried, and I abstain from that vote.
Motion to adopt a resolution to authorize the supervisor to sign the 2023 Service Award Program Certificate, LoSAP, for the Greenwood Lake Volunteer Ambulance Corps.
Second.
Any discussion, aside from the fact that I am a member of the Greenwood Lake Ambulance Corps as well and will not be voting on this motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Motion to adopt a resolution to accept bid proposal from Rabe Nebaker Electric LLC for equipment, supplies, and installation of a control panel and a cellular dialer to operate an alarm for Warwick Water System Well 11 in an amount not to exceed $19,229.10.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Making a motion to schedule a public hearing for introductory local law number 1 of 2024 entitled Extending Local Law number 4 of 2023, establishing a 6-month moratorium prohibiting the review and approval of clean renewable energy technology businesses devoted to research, education, distribution, or application of technological innovation in alternative energy uses in the town of Warwick for an additional year to expire December 31st, 2024. Said hearing to be held on Thursday, February 8, 2024 at 7:50 p.m. or soon thereafter. May the matter be heard at Town Hall, 132 Kings Highway, Town of Warwick.
Second.
Any discussion? Again, this is the moratorium on the battery development. We want more time to be able to develop a code specifically related to these development projects. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. We have one more motion. Motion 21, motion to adopt a resolution granting permission to Eagle Scout candidate Kyle Gluckstein to construct a new fire pit, benches, and safety apparatus at Mountain Lake Park.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion has carried. Okay, may I have a motion to pay all audited bills?
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So now is where we have the second phase of privilege of the floor. If anybody wanted to comment on any resolutions or anything else, this is your final opportunity to comment in the public. Anyone care to comment? Okay.
My only comment is that on number 5, it's Canada geese, not Canadian geese. That's what they're called, Canada geese.
Canada geese?
They're called Canada geese, that's their official name, they're not called.
You know, Steve, I gotta say, every email that's sent out about Greenwood Lake history, there's only one person who finds something to correct. And that is this man. Thank you for coming, Steve. We appreciate it. I mean, we just got it from the people who run it, and we plugged it in that way, but we appreciate it. Again, any other comments from the public before we close? Okay. We will reconvene. Our next town board meeting is going to be on February 8th. It is always preceded by a public workshop. That public workshop begins between 6 and 6:30, depending on how much we have to work on. And also the same night, as you heard before, we're going to have a public hearing at 7:15, right before our general meeting, which will take place at 7:30, right here, 132 Kings Highway on February 8th. I want to thank you all so much for coming tonight. I hope we did okay. We stayed all right on time here. I want to thank the board for your hard work and assistance as we progress. I make a motion to close this meeting.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is closed. Thank you all.